strugglers and not consties.
Yeah, we'll go with strugglers. Consties, you're right. Has a
different kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of production.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we've got a great episode for you today, featuring Tuong La. But before we jump into it, Nick and I will catch up a little bit.
Ketchup.
A little bit of catch up.
Delicious.
What's new, Nick? Are you writing these days?
Yeah, I'm getting ready for NaNoWriMo 2020.
It's almost November. That's right.
Yep. So I've been prepping for that the last couple of days. Bought a space heater kind of dealy for the basement. So it's now the snuggest. Snuggest? It's got snuggle factor to it.
You just have to make sure not to fall asleep because you're
no.
down there.
No, my anxiety about not knowing what to write will keep me awake.
Oh, there you go.
Or just writing in general.
Writing, right. But if you're too comfy, you don't get like...
No, I just turn the heat down a little bit.
Oh, well, I guess there's that.
So it's not rocket science, Brie. It's just writing.
What does prepping for NaNoWriMo look like?
Oh, I'm a planner. I'm not one of these pantsers. So I like to have like a one little phrase idea of every page I'm going to be writing. Okay. And so, how many pages does it have to be? On my Word doc, I can't remember. I think I'm aiming for about 170 around there. If I'm really off, then I'll try to remember to update everybody next month.
Excellent.
But yeah. So yeah, for the NaNoWriMo goal, I have to hit 50K words.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, for my story, I'm just breaking it all down for that. Right. Yep.
Well, that's exciting. I'm sure you'll keep.
How about you, Brie? What have you been up to?
Well, this week is actually, the past 2 weeks have been busy. I feel like the past 2 weeks feel like back to normal in quotation marks, because what is normal anyway?
Who could say?
Busyness, exactly. Because I'm starting tonight. I'm starting a new term for Second City. So I'm starting to teach a new class online because we're still online. Mm-hmm. And level A class, which I love because they're so new and they're so fresh, and I get to guide them into the improv light.
Yay!
And then I've got a bunch of rehearsals for Improv Niagara because we're doing like a Halloween live stream show on Friday.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, right now it's looking like we're going to do it out of the Niagara Artist Center, which is this like kind of cool artist space for galleries and like creating stuff. And there's a stage and stuff.
Where it is?
Oh, it's on St. Paul Street.
Oh,
it's like right.
I miss St. Paul Street.
Yeah. I keep wanting to know, what was the name of
Bean Trees? Okay,
yeah, the coffee shop was Bean Tree, but what was the name of the vintage clothing store before it is what it is now? I'm not gonna
I don't know what it is now, but I remember it as Blue Moon.
Blue Moon. Okay. So now it's out of the past.
Oh, I feel like that was there as well.
Oh, so maybe there were two.
Yeah. Well, there's for sure Blue Moon. Out of the past rings a bell.
So
it was great. Fine leather jacket selection and Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, there's still a lot of Hawaiian shirts.
Excellent.
You could stock up if you needed to. So and then Improv Niagara is doing our first in-person class since before times. Mm-hmm. So we're starting that up on Wednesday. So it'll be
okay.
Yeah, so everybody's gonna wear masks and we have to take people's temperature and stuff before class. But like if kids can, if it's safe in Niagara for kids to do ballet and stuff, then I'm pretty sure we can do improv with masks.
Yeah. You can keep some distance as well for that.
Exactly. It might not be the like super, touchy kind of improv. Not that that's my favorite kind of improv.
No.
But so it's a big improv week. Last week I attended this leadership conference, which was like, when it's like exactly what you needed right then. And
I believe it recharged your feminist batteries.
My feminist batteries, my leader batteries.
The leader battery.
Yeah. A lot of batteries. It just like, I don't know, like realizations of like, why am I doing things this way? Fuck that, you know?
Cool.
Yeah, so it was very helpful, and you know, got to meet and connect with a bunch of strong Niagara ladies,
Strong female characters
from Niagara.
Ah.
So that was good. That was nice.
Oh, awesome.
And then I got to edit this podcast, which I think people will enjoy.
I heard you had some giggles.
I was laughing throughout. It's a funny episode, and I think
strap in, everybody.
I think it helps that Tuong is so so comfortable in podcasts because it's very smooth too. I find it flows nicely.
Oh my gosh, smooth laughs.
Smooth laughs.
That just sounds sophisticated.
Yeah, that's right. Are you ready for smooth laughs, Nick?
I am now.
All right, let's do it. Enjoy the episode, folks.
Oh, Nick's writing something. I'm gonna guess the link's not working. Sad. I think it is. Let me just. Okay, I'm gonna.
You picked the right one.
Try this one. It's the same one.
Oh, this time worked great.
I love the hat, by the way.
My potting hat.
That's your pot? No, it's not. You've never worn that hat to podcast before. I hope you've worn it on the golf course, though.
I have.
Good.
Samuel L. Pod.
No, that's cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, anyway,
there you go. Sweet. All right.
Sweet.
Tuong, this is going to sound very stupid, but is your last name pronounced La?
Yes.
Great.
That doesn't sound stupid at all. Most people have trouble with my first name, so it's okay.
I heard you say it once and was like, boom, got it.
That's really good because I am not like that. I can't remember people's names.
You've been saying your name wrong?
I say my name wrong. Yeah.
I'm so glad this part is also recorded.
Oh yeah, all of it's recorded. Tell me what. Yeah, include it all. Include it all, including the part where Nick had trouble getting into the Zoom room.
Yep, I intend to. I intend to mock Nick. Yay! Welcome. Say it, Nick.
Welcome to Constant Struggle. I'm Nick Watson.
And I'm Brie Watson. We're here with a special guest today. We're very lucky to have him here. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Tuong La, a podcaster. Oh, I should have done the thing where I explain what you do first, but
sorry.
oh well. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we'll do it now. Improviser and podcaster extraordinaire, Tuong La. Yay!
Hello, yay! Let's do that part again. I like that part. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here.
Well, it was very exciting to get to cross-pod.
Cross-podulation.
I was going to just say it, cross-podulation. Yeah.
That's right. So we had fun, I was going to say playing on. Sure, playing on.
Playing's fine.
Playing your ranked podcast.
Yeah, we were playing. We were ranking sci-fi technology.
Oh, man. I've been watching so much Star Trek since, and I'm like, why did I say hypospray?
I want to run about now. I've been watching DS9 again. I was like, oh my god, it's like the Cadillac of shuttles.
Oh.
I'll have to take both of your words on that. I don't know enough Star Trek. Although on the podcast you guys are on, I mean, I think I learned it was like an info dump.
It's almost like you had the information uploaded to your brain very quickly.
Yeah. Like
what I like about this is that anybody who's listening to this episode right now has no idea what we're talking about.
It's all inside baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they've already listened to your episode, in which case, thank you for listening to both episodes.
Yeah, support all podcasts. What else are you doing? Working?
That's right.
Like, really?
Who's
Listen
working?
to a podcast.
Yeah.
You could definitely listen to a podcast and work, no matter what job you're doing.
Nick does it all the time.
I get paid professionally to listen to podcasts.
Oh my God, can I have your job?
And release large sums of money into the economy.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Awesome, Tuong. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yay. Why don't you so we met, I was just seeing this. It's like we met in Ottawa. right?
Yeah. Ottawa, probably at like I don't even know, like a festival or like something to do with the Improv Embassy or Experimental Farm Theater at the time.
Ooh, probably that.
Yeah.
So not a shawarma place.
So surprisingly
place.
not a shawarma place.
And there's a lot of shawarma places, but no, not there.
I know. You know, I didn't even eat shawarma when I was in Ottawa. I was a dum-dum. I know. I was like, what? It smelled so garlicky, and I was like, I don't know.
No,
yeah.
That's how you know it's good.
And now I've learned. I've learned my ways. Yes. What? I've learned. Anyway. So you're an improviser. Is that where you trained in improv? I'm going to jump into the improv stuff because that's what I like the most.
Yeah, let's do the improv thing. Love improv. Yeah, I trained. It's so weird to say trained in improv, but yes,
I was formally schooled in improv with strict rigor.
Yeah, I got whipped every time I didn't do a yes and properly, and just no buts.
I can see Danny doing that. I can see her bringing out the whips.
Oh yeah, I have the scars, but that doesn't play well on a podcast.
We're looking at them now. They're devastating.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's everywhere.
It is.
I did improv, or I've been doing improv for, gosh, I don't even know, like, I just always, whenever I don't know, I always say 5 years.
About 5 years.
5 years, which I think is pretty accurate. Experimental Farm Theater at the time, which eventually morphed into the Improv Embassy.
Which is, it makes perfect sense in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Because there's every embassy in Ottawa.
Thanks. I was just going to ask if these were all in Ottawa, because you said you met at
Ottawa.
No, not I know the city, but it was like a meetup or something like that.
It was an improv. It was probably an improv or a comedy show of some kind.
Oh, just a show. Okay. So it wasn't like it wasn't like Winnipeg Fringe or something, but in Ottawa and for improv.
Yeah. You mean Ottawa Fringe? It was not at Ottawa Fringe.
It was not at the Ottawa Winnipeg Fringe Festival.
Yeah, it would have been probably at an improv show in Ottawa.
Yeah, I have to imagine that you were like the headliner guest, Brie Watson in town, let's party. And I'm like, I don't know anything about improv, but I'm like, hey, this person's super funny.
And loud.
And loud.
And,
That took me a long way back 5 years ago.
Just being loud was good enough.
Improv is being loud.
Yeah.
Am I doing it right?
Oh, you're joking about that, but that was a joke they legit made on Barry this year. Not improv, but comedy in general.
Oh, I love that.
It's just saying things loud. It was like, shut up! It's true! Anyway, sorry. Improv.
I love Barry, by the way. Great show.
Right?
Yes, so good. But where was I? Yes, improv there for quite a few years, just doing shows around the city. The improv scene in Ottawa was pretty small comparatively to like, Toronto and stuff like that. Once you got into the improv game, quote unquote, like you pretty much knew the circles of improv around the city. It was pretty easy.
Which is why I left. It was why I left because there was no improv. I'm glad Danny and Chris are there now, because before it was just short form and it was just like very cliquey. It was just like, if you're not already in the group, you're never gonna be. Sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of improv everywhere, or at least it was until he all crumbled down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
but I mean, you could still have the opportunity to learn and like.
That's true.
Anyway,
that's true.
Yeah, didn't really exist except for Richard Salem. I'm sorry, I am like taking over my improv journey when this is about your improv.
I want to hear about your improv journey. No. Nick, what about your improv journey? No. Never mind. I'm taking focus for myself here. No, but the training, quote unquote, of me becoming an improv Jedi was amazing. They taught me so much. I love improv. It's given me so many opportunities of, just being even more outgoing than I was earlier, and just like listening, because I'm the type of person, or I probably still am, where I kind of just like love talking but hate listening to other people.
That's why you have podcasts. That's why you have Podcavern.
Yeah, exactly. So I can just tell my thoughts to people. But it was such a great tool of just for comedy, because I love that stuff, being on stage because I'm an attention whore, and then just having lots of fun with like-minded people. And then I moved to Waterloo, Kitchener about 2.5 years ago, and I kind of left everything behind.
What was the motivation behind that move?
My partner,
Microbrews. Oh, sorry.
yeah, microbrew. Sorry. My partner, who is just beer. I am. I'm living with a keg right now.
Like the restaurant.
Amazing.
Yeah. Just, slowly drinking at her teat from here and there.
Beer teat.
Oh no!
I can't wait for her to hear this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, if your partner listens to your podcast still, that's a good partner.
I have like 3 to 4 shows in the Podcavern, and she'll listen to one regularly, which is like a miracle. I have no idea why she still does that. But everything else, she just is like, have fun on your little shows. Or like right now, she's probably doing some DIY project in her new home, and I'll be like, stop it, Laura. I'm doing work right now. I'm doing this really important work.
Wait,
podcasting.
Yeah,
podcast.
But yeah, she was the big motivator. Love was the motivator to come down. But also I was like, at the time I was like, I felt like I not tapped out in Ottawa. There was always so much more to learn, but I was definitely improvising with the same circles. I didn't feel like I was growing anymore, but I didn't move here for comedy reasons. I think initially I was trying to get her to move to Ottawa so I can still stay in my comfortable improv bubble. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Waterloo because that's close to Toronto. No, it isn't. Anytime you're like an hour and a half outside Toronto, people are like, oh, you're so close. You should do a show. And I did that one time where we had to take a train. I got asked to do some Toronto show. I forget exactly what it was. It was very nice of them to invite me, but I took the train to like a train stop, and then I had to train into town. And it was like a 2.5-hour journey one way to do a show that was 10 minutes long.
Awesome.
And I was on stage with 15 other people.
This is all amazing.
Man.
Yeah.
You pretty much described the life of a commuting improviser or commuting comedian now.
Yeah.
So it would be better if you had wheels, though. If you had a car, I bet it wouldn't take
Well, we had a car. We have a car, sorry. And we were thinking, like, if you just drive right in Toronto, like, you got to deal with, like, so much more traffic. You got to deal with parking. It's a whole headache. So we're like, let's drive to the train stop. And that whole thing is, like, it's just not worth it. So that's when I started, like, looking into theaters around me. And that's when I found the Making Box. That's where I am now, where I perform and teach. Well, perform online.
Right.
Is it just an improv space, or is it like a performance in general? The Making Box.
It's a performance improv space, although they do stand-up shows there too. So there's quite a lot going on, or there was before pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And then they opened up a secondary. It was such bad timing too. They finally reached out to Kitchener-Waterloo, where I'm from, and Making Boxes in Guelph. So we're about 40 minutes away, but they were able to, like, put out the feelers of like, hey, there's an opportunity here to keep reaching out to this Kitchener-Waterloo, which didn't really have a place to learn improv. And I took a few classes there, or in Kitchener, under the Making Box guys. And then they're like, you know what, let's just make a theater space, or rather just like a class space. And they did that. They did that for under a year. And then earlier this year, they're about to, I'm not sure if I should be saying this, but I don't think it's like, no, you know what? I think it's pretty public news, where they opened up another space and they're about to announce it. But that was like a week after they told everyone to stay home.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a space in Kitchener that I have not seen, or Waterloo that I have not seen yet, and we technically own it. It just hasn't had people in it.
I
so.
hope the rent isn't too much, because that's...
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle money, so that's not my job. My job is to make people laugh.
I am not the financial person. I am But you
I'm
are
the
you're
last person. I don't know. I don't know.
So what do you do? So you teach improv at the Making Box then?
Yeah, I guess I was part of the brigade, which is their house team. So I was performing pretty regularly, like bi-weekly, monthly, that kind of stuff on the stage in Guelph and sometimes in like Kitchener, Waterloo. And then we do like corporate shows and all that stuff. But I would also be a teacher as well. So I've been teaching, all the levels of improv. And then this past summer that we were trying to get creative of like what other new online formats we can do. And I'm like, let me teach a podcasting course.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I did over the summer, which was awesome.
Oh, cool. How did that go? Well, because we should also maybe mention about your podcast network. So you co-own or do you run the whole shebang?
I own the whole shebang.
Yeah. So you own Podcavern. Tell us a little bit about Podcavern.
Yeah. Podcavern is like, oh man, this show's all about me today, eh? That's
totally, everyone's heard all our shit.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
And here I am, be like, Brie, Nick, tell me more about you.
No, like our show's like, oh, remember that one time Mom made that thing?
Great, yeah.
I mean, she said it was lasagna, but I'm still not sure.
But see, I'm very curious about that. But okay, I'll talk about Podcavern for a little bit. Then we'll go back to this lasagna thing.
Yeah.
Podcavern, yeah, I've always been interested in podcasting. I took this, it was definitely coming from the place of I have a lot of thoughts about really random things. I just have opinions about these types of things, and I need them to put them out into the world, or at least have like some sort of outlet for me to properly articulate what I'm thinking. So it was also like on top of improv, which helped me like focus into my thoughts. Podcasting was also another one of those things where I'm just like, I need to talk, but I need to find ways to talk better, I guess. And yeah, so years and years ago, 5 years ago, no, I think it was actually about
a standard unit of time.
I think it was about like 6 to 7 years ago. I don't actually remember, but I think around that time, I started my first I would say podcasting network, but it was supposed to be like this catch-all place called BroCoolNation, and I thought it was the coolest name ever. BroCoolNation.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can laugh at this now, though. Right?
No, you can. And it was. I was like, what? I'm gonna.
It sounds awesome.
It was fucking cool. You were a bro.
Nick would love.
I do, and I want to sign up, and I want to host the microbrew episode or show.
Great. The logo, there was a beer bottle on the logo.
Sure was.
Of course
there was. Our logo, we also had like bobblehead versions of us. And
that's cute.
I had YouTube. Okay, I'll back up. Back up. So BroCoolNation started as this podcasting thing. And I'm like, I don't know how to make a podcast. I need to learn. So I did some Googling and found like somebody called the Podcast Answer Man, who it was like this podcast renowned teacher or whatever.
Was it just Kevin Smith?
It was just Kevin Smith. I wish. That'd be awesome. But this guy was like, he taught people how to make podcasts. And so he would take like 10 to 12 students, whatever. He set up this whole thing. It was a very expensive class. I'll tell you what, like we're talking about for 4 weeks of class, I think originally pitched as like, oh gosh, I want to say like $1,500, $2,000 or something like that. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then, it was very expensive. I didn't know what I wanted. Like, I don't know how to use money. So I'm just like, I don't know how to save. How much more?
Tell you what, I'll just give you my bank account details and you can figure the rest out.
You take what you need out of there.
Yeah. Which arm do you need? So anyways, I emailed the guy and I was just like, I don't have that much money. So can you like make it cheaper? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll give you a very reasonable price of like $1,200. And I was like, you know what? I can't. This is the podcast answer, man. I have to take this course.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I did. And it was actually like an amazing course. Like he's very thorough. I feel like they got everyone to introduce themselves on this forum or whatever. You get to ask him as many questions as you want. Everybody came there for like different reasons. It was like very serious reasons. Some people, like, this person had like very bad for example, like sexual experiences. Some person who wanted to like talk about like books that they are writing from like the soul. Someone's like writing about like doing like a finance podcast or like a new mom podcast, and I was like, I want to do one about TV shows. And I was the only one in the class that had that type of motivation, so nobody took my stuff seriously.
Okay, but how much trauma is involved?
But that eventually gave rise to my first podcast, was called Tell Advised Uncensored.
Ooh.
And I thought it was a pretty good name at the time. I still think it's decent, but the show premise was so unhealthy for me because it was we're essentially watching seasons of TV on a weekly basis.
That's too much.
And then talking about our favorite episode that season.
Whoa. That's too
so
much.
I watched seasons of TV shows for 26 weeks straight. I did 26 weeks. Yeah, it's crazy. And I had a full-time job. I was doing other stuff. I had other commitments. But basically, I found the perfect way to watch TV back then was at 1.27 times speed, where I can absorb what was happening and not lose out what is like on screen and stuff. Yeah. So that was my first podcasting thing. And then BroCoolNation, I was like, you know what? I want this to be everything. This has to be everything that I like in this world. I'm get all my friends involved. It's going to be fucking awesome. Okay, my friend who's like an animator, I want her drawings up on here. I want to talk about video game reviews up here, movie reviews. And it became this whole thing where I really try to get people involved, like my friends, to be part of this thing, which is the greatest lesson that BroCoolNation gave me, which was I was the only one truly invested in this like idea of this passion project, which was podcasting, YouTube videos, like comedy YouTube videos, and like all this random stuff. And it became a thing where I kind of got like resentful to like my friends who said they wanted to be part of this thing, but obviously they didn't have any like there's no commitment. You don't get paid for this. It's all free work that they would have given me. So that fell apart after the 26 weeks of it running. And I kind of got discouraged, but I was like, you know what? I'll come back to podcasting one day.
What an important lesson to learn, though.
It is.
Like, even just in the small, narrow area of comedy, I think it took me a long time to realize there are some people who really want to invest. Some people really want to do it. And some people are just there to like, as a hobby. And it's
and
really
they might not necessarily know that either. They might like really like comedy, but don't have
either they don't have the time or they don't want to put in the time. Yeah.
Or they just haven't thought about like how much work it actually takes. It's like, I just come here for fun. Like
that's exactly what was happening. They wanted to be there for like the glory. There was barely any, you know, like all the like posts and be like, the
pod glory. Yes.
Yeah, the pod glory.
We're well aware of it. Yeah.
But the second you're like, hey, can you give me, back then it was like, give me this article about this movie that I would want posted as a blog post by like this date. And you would pester them. And they said they forgot. And you kind of have to be like, crap, like I can't punish you. You're a friend. You're also like, it feels weird because again, I'm not your boss. But the pretense was that everybody who said they were interested really made it seem like they were very interested. And that was when I started being very disappointed by people, I guess, which is, you know, a good lesson to have is basically if you're going to partner up with somebody, just make sure they're on the same page as you.
Yeah. What a great piece of advice. And sometimes it's hard because, like Nick said, they don't even know, you know, they think they are invested, but then you're like, well, I guess then you're it's like a group project in high school.
That's exactly what it is.
When you end up doing all the fucking work.
But I was never that person in school.
No, me neither. I'm like, how did this happen? Actually, I was for sure that person.
But Podcavern came to be when I came up with my topic, and I was like, I want to make something that channels more useless information that I have, which was you know, at the time it was just very popular to make lists of stuff. Like BuzzFeed made lists. There was a whole app called Lists, and I'm like, I can make these fucking lists. And I was listening to, and also like, I was listening to like a video game podcast who would like every year they do like their top 10 video games of the year and stuff like that.
Well, that's a list.
Like, it's like they do lists here, but they like talk about the whole deliberation process of how to get to the list, which I really enjoyed because like, you know, you look at a list on like BuzzFeed or whatever the hell it is, and you're like, how the hell did they get to that list? I need to know the process of it. So I wanted to turn that into a podcast. And then I was like, you know what? I want to redo this whole podcast network thing, but instead of trying to be everything and all things, let's just make it podcasts first. And if I ever want to do other things, I might explore that later. But with the information that I have now, all I know for sure is that I know when it comes to podcasting, I have a really good work ethic when it comes to free work. I guess like when it comes to other work, no way. But like when it comes to podcasting, it's like I'm zoned in. I will edit for hours. Like that's just how I roll. And I could really just trust myself to put out this content. And if any other people end up wanting to get involved along the way, then it becomes this whole process where I basically gotta really, really trust them before they come on. But even now to this day, Podcavern has been around for 4.5 years now. And I would say I do basically everything still. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah, if you like it, if it's something that that you enjoy and you're, you know, and that you love, then it's worth it, even if the money isn't huge.
The money is not there. So no.
I heard about your Amazon sponsorship.
Oh yeah, I think in the last 2 months I got like $5.
Sick!
That pays for, you know, a fifth of hosting a month. Yeah. So that's Podcavern in a nutshell. So now it's become like this thing where it started off with one show, and then after several episodes, I was like, I want to do another show. So I put another show on my plate, and then I put another show on my plate, and then another one. So I'm basically juggling, like in the Podcavern, I think there's like 5 to 6 shows in total, but the ones that I'm directly involved in, I am doing 3 on the regular.
Okay.
And that's about as much as I'll do because it's just way too much time.
Yeah, like how many of those 3 are you dropping like per month? Are you doing them weekly or like?
So ranked top 5 list of stuff that don't matter. That's the one you guys were on.
Yep.
I do that bi-weekly because that one.
So 2 a week.
You don't know. Yeah. Is that what bi-weekly means?
No, he's fucking with you.
I've always wondered. I'm like, someone.
No, that's twice
a
weekly. Sorry.
I do that one bi-weekly, and then I do another one called Disney Dummies. That one's also alternate weeks, so bi-weekly as well.
Yeah.
So for one of my podcasts, I will personally put out a podcast once a week for one of those 2 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then Talking Tongue, which is just a show where I talk about the pop culture news of the week and like a movie that somebody watched and then we get to talk about. That's a weekly show too. So
you've got 2 pods a week you're working on then, or 2
pods a week
yourself. Wow. All right.
Yep. It's a lot. And then every now and then we have a show called the Improv Punch Up, which I did with 2 other people.
Oh, man.
But that one's like on like a hiatus of sort. Like now that we're more comfortable from like doing improv on Zoom, we're just trying to figure it out. And we also the mentality of like, whatever, let's just fucking do it and spend time with each other. That one's now becoming like a monthly show, but like not really set to any schedule, more like we'll do it when we feel like it.
It sounds like the constant struggle.
It's whenever you guys can do it, right? It's hard to do podcasting remote.
I mean, since COVID, it's gotten easier.
Actually, it's been easier for us. Yeah.
I was trying to throw you guys a bone here.
No.
We're improving. It's getting better. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, because the problem was originally, anyway, we say this all the time. Originally, we were both in like Toronto and Nick's in Mississauga, so it was easy to do. But now that I'm in Niagara, it was really hard to coordinate. But now with Zoom,
we're everywhere, baby.
Super easy.
Constant struggle everywhere.
Right. Zoom made the struggle so much less struggly.
Yep.
Oh, good.
It's a
Good.
constant breeze now.
Because I'm the one who does all the work.
So
Okay,
relaxing.
Oh boy.
Okay, so that's exciting. Have you ever? What?
Can you just edit that so it sounds really cool when I say it, Brie? Thanks.
Nope, not possible.
Give Nick
I
a
can't-
super deep voice.
Have you or podcasts that you have? Well, other than Cool Bro Hour
BroCoolNation.
Beer Time.
Hey, BroCoolNation, I have to just say, although it has, in retrospect, the stupidest name ever, it was very cool at its time because every YouTube channel was adding nation to the end of its name. So I was like, I need a nation. BroCoolNation.
I
Good
remember Cold
niche.
Bear Nation.
I like.
I had one video up on there, which is me singing Prince Ali in an Aladdin costume that has, last time I checked, which was like over a year ago, it had like 14,000 views.
Whoa.
Nice.
Those are big numbers. That's a lot of views.
Yeah, it has super, it's a lot of views. I'm getting so much money off of this.
Pennies.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off. What was your question about?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, have you ever had, other than BroCoolNation, have you ever had something that you had to be like, no more potting. This pod is dead now.
This pod is dead now.
Dead pod.
Oh yeah, there was Death Pod.
Dead pod. Let's see. No. No.
Okay, cool.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. No, I haven't really put any of my pods to bed except for Teleadvised, Uncensored, and all of BroCoolNation. That's definitely down. But everything else is kind of like I do another podcast which is called Cinema Saves the World with another podcast.
That's like 18 podcasts you're doing.
I know. This podcast is less of a well, we try to put it into podcast form, but it's just me and another guy who from Pull the Plug podcast who marathon movies under a theme to raise money for charity.
Oh, that's nice.
And we've done that like 4 times now, and we've raised like a sizable amount of money for that kind of stuff.
That's good.
And it's the thing is, like, people are watching us watch movies, but they can't actually see the movies. So we're just talking over these movies.
Oh, that's like MST3K right there, man.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Like very Mystery Science Theater. It's very,
People
they had
love
a thing called, what was it? Something tracks, laugh tracks, I think, where you could watch a movie and just listen to the guys from Mystery Science Theater, like on like in your headphones or on your, like basically a podcast, and you could just hear them riffing on what was happening.
Oh, like you could cue it up with the movie you're watching?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did it for Twilight.
Ooh.
It was funny. It improved the movie.
It is much more fun to watch movies in that way, because we've watched some garbage movies for this marathon. Our last marathon we did was it was called the Trainwreck Marathon. We were raising money for UNICEF, so we're only watching bad movies. And I have the list in front of me, although this is questionable because the first movie apparently was a good movie, which is Spice World.
I saw that in theaters.
Man, that bus scene holds up.
Jeez, I don't remember.
It's a toy bus. It's like they're. I don't want to get into Spice World, but I will for this part. Basically, the Spice Girls are late for their show. In the very climax of the movie, they have to gun it from one end to the other to make it to the show. So they are on this tour bus that has to jump over a bridge that is like, going up. There's bridges that are doing this.
Yep. Oh, yeah. They're splitting in the middle and pointing upwards.
Oh, for the people at home,
of
course. Yeah. And then
It's like, Nick, why are you saying what Tom just did? Like, are you trying to, what's going on here?
Yeah. The trailer just guns it down and makes it over the gap, but the way they don't show like any stunts or like a real world car. They use like a toy trailer, like a toy car, and it goes over a bridge, and it's just amazing.
That's so cheap.
I love it. Sharknado, the Emoji Movie, The Room, Batman and Robin, and Cats.
Okay, yeah, those are bad.
Which one's The Room?
That's
Tommy
Wiseau. Yeah. Oh, hi, Mom.
Oh, right. Okay.
The one they have
Yeah.
like screenings for, and people throw spoons, and it's like
It's a fun time to
following.
watch with other people.
I hated it.
You watch it with other people? Were you in the room?
I did. I saw it at
I hate all
the
you
Mayfair,
people.
at the Mayfair in Ottawa. Remember that place? My favorite place in Ottawa.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah. That's where I saw it, and I hated it.
Oh, well.
But I think it's because people were like talking throughout it, and it was like they had seen it so many times. They were like talking, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen it before, and this is.
Let me listen to the dialogue.
Yeah,
it's not
I have
good.
to. Yeah,
don't do that.
I guess there's no point. I remember being like, this is bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Podcavern in a nutshell. So improv podcasts, that is my life.
Great. I forgot how we got to podcasts from improv.
Because I taught a podcasting course.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the last, like not last, but that is like the most fun part that's come out of this summer, I think, for me, which was like being able to put all of this useless quote unquote information into like a teachable format and share it with people. And I even though like my podcasts are, comedy based and like, watching movies and like talking about pop culture, making lists, like whatever it is, I was able to cultivate the skills, like the technical skills of editing, posting, like that is just ingrained in my DNA now. I can do that like no problem.
Did you charge the Making Box people as much as your podcast guru?
Yeah.
No, God, I don't think anybody would pay that price except for me. Like, idiot. But I'll tell you what, a fun thing, which maybe I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyways. That's twice I've said this episode.
I love it. We're getting hot goss.
Yeah, the gossip is that I was able to use the bone structure of the class that I paid for as my template to teach other people. So I not necessarily ripped off everything, but I was able to like easily be like, okay, well, this is how I was taught. I still have those videos and information. How do I like take that, make it my own? And it was like a very like awesome way to be like justify the cost of doing it.
Yeah, no, that for sure.
That's also like every improv class, though, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, make me feel good about this, okay?
I'm sorry. Great, awesome.
It was worth
$1,200. Yeah,
$1,200.
that's true. Without that,
Easily, yeah.
Well, actually, then it became like another, let's just say, $700 on top of that because you had to buy equipment and stuff.
Yeah. You would have needed the equipment anyway.
But like for me, it was like, okay, well, you can buy this thing or this really expensive thing to make it sound extra good. I'm like, well, I need it to sound extra good, obviously.
See, that is where you and I differ. I'm like, Nick, how can we do this as cheaply as possible?
Yeah. Guerrilla
Let's
podcasting.
not pay the Zoom monthly cost.
Yeah, exactly. 40 minutes. That's it.
Why are your episodes so short? Shut up. That's why.
Yeah.
That's cool. So did everybody leave your class having their own podcast?
That was the plan, but apparently some people didn't know they had to make a podcast by the end of the week. Like this is a real thing. I was just like,
no.
really?
I just like going to class.
Yeah, why would you take the class if you didn't want to know?
I needed a credit to graduate from Guelph.
It was interesting, but I try to do it the way I was taught in a way. So I recorded all of my classes so they can look back on it later. Cause I'm the type of person who can't really learn at a lecture or anything. Like I completely zone out when someone's trying to tell me something in like work meetings and stuff like that. So I record it for later.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, I was zoning out. I was doing a bit just for us.
Yeah, that was
a visual bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this out of the actual recording.
Sorry. Zoning out in class. Sorry.
Yeah.
Zoning out in class. I'm trying to remember where was I? I'm trying to get it back.
That's why you record your classes.
That's why I record my classes. And then I also did a thing where like for those 4 weeks, just like when I took the class, like I was just there for my students. I really wanted to, because everybody has their own podcasting setup and what they need, and like, or there's just like a million different ways to do podcasting, and I only know how to do one way that I do it, like this is the way I like to do it, but the way you do it might be different. So it's kind of that thing where like they can ask me as many questions as they want, and I'm pretty good at Googling, so I'll Google for them.
Normally you have to buy a place with a big brick wall and you put an American flag up on there and you just give your guests loads of weed and alcohol. That's how you do it.
Oh my God. So
Whose setup is that?
That's Joe Rogan.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I was like, is this your setup? Because I have not gotten the weed yet.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know we were supposed to be fucked up when we were doing this, Nick. No,
Should we start over?
Yeah, I guess we'll start over. Everybody
don't
go,
normally
hit the bong. I'm not sure.
I have a ginger ale.
Ooh, I have a bottle of water.
Oh.
I got nothing.
How dare
Okay.
you? You're a monster.
Wow.
What are you going to do for those vocal cords?
Me
They get
mama
dry.
will.
You have been coughing. I'm concerned. Do you have COVID?
I got the Rona. No, I ate some delicious Mexican food right before here, and it's some spiciness still going on.
Oh, it's
And you didn't bring water.
Yeah.
No, going dry like a psycho.
I like the way you pod, Nick.
Let's just do it. Let's go.
How many podcasts are in your network
Let me look.
entirely?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And
you're
And I
doing
run
3 of them.
3, but like I co-own the other 2.
Oh.
So really the one that I'm truly not on is one of them, which is Heroes Don't Do Paperwork, which is a improvised superhero theme show. But yeah, it was a whole thing because I really didn't want to run into another BroCoolNation situation where
I can't hear you say that without laughing.
we're gonna normalize it because it's still cool. It's, you know what? It's bro cool.
I want a T-shirt with it on and the logo.
I probably have T-shirts.
So close to making T-shirts for this thing. I was telling you, BroCoolNation was everything you wanted it to be.
No, I had that. We had that when I first started comedy. It was called Laugh Draft.
That's good. I
No,
like that.
It wasn't.
I'm giving you the credit.
Yeah, that's nice of you. It doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, it's nice of you guys to not laugh at BroCoolNation.
I absolutely love it.
I have been laughing this entire time.
I think we called each other. No, because
no.
everyone has to give their
You had
fans a
nicknames.
thing. And we were, we'd be like, hey, what was it? I think they're BroCoolians.
That's the worst one you can do.
What would you choose?
Just bros.
No.
Then
where's the cool?
Exactly.
All right, that's correct.
BroCoolig. Was it Coolians or Cooligans?
You see, Cooligans would have been better.
It sounds
I think.
more Irish.
Yeah, but no, they're BroCoolians. So it'd be like, hey, BroCoolians. Oh, so cringe.
Amazing. And then we don't have any. Hey,
listeners? Yeah, I know, Bruce.
Strugglers?
Yeah, we don't have listeners either.
I think that would be fitting for your podcast, Strugglers. Hey, Strugglers. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we may have used that.
We might have, yeah. All right, look at this. We took care of that part. We don't need that part of the podcast class.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't have anything for Podcavern. We don't I don't think we've ever called anyone anything.
Cave dwellers?
Okay. That would have been good. No, I haven't done that one. I'll write that down real quick.
Cavernistas. Yeah.
Ooh.
I might call them BroCoolians anyways. It's a throwback.
They'll have no reason to know why, but I love it. They're like, oh,
Yeah, you should. I think you have to, yeah.
But yeah, the network, I'm very precious about it because I really want people who, and we've had 2 or 3 other shows or potential shows that have approached us or me to be like, hey, I want to put a show into the Podcavern, and I want it to be because I really didn't. Yeah, I didn't want to go into the BroCoolNation thing of like, well, can I trust this person? Are they going to release their episodes on time? Because I still control that aspect of it. So even with Heroes Don't Do Paperwork, I will be the one who posts it, make sure it's all out on social media. I don't do the editing. I'll get them to do the editing. I'll get them to do the show notes. I just have to put it all together to produce it and put it out into the world. But if anyone ever wants to join the Podcavern, I always come with like, I don't have time to edit your show.
Right.
So make sure it sounds good to Podcavern standard, which I think is like always pretty good sound quality for even during these times, like the best we can produce, well edited, do your own notes, and then I can handle the rest. And the other thing is, if you have a schedule, I don't care what it is, just make sure you stick with it, because one of the biggest things that I'm proud of with the Podcavern is I have not yet missed a release schedule in the 4.5 years. Like we stick to it. It's just like a principle I have. It's just like, if I say bi-weekly, it's bi-weekly. And we've been doing that straight ever since I created this thing. So, and then so some people like created a couple episodes of a thing, but then they started falling off. It's a thing when anybody makes art or podcasts where they're really fired up about it, but then life happens and they quickly drop it. And for me, I would hate to say, here's a new show in the Podcavern, and then it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. Yeah. It's not how I do things here.
Did they cover that in Pod School for you? Because
in Pod School,
sorry, I was actually being serious
school,
there, but yeah, because that's like brilliant advice. A lot of podcasts early on failed because of that, or you don't get any momentum because people don't know when to expect your next drop.
Yeah, I think they did cover it, or it's something that stuck in my mind. I can't remember if they, I actually can't remember, but it's definitely something I believe in, where if you say it's going to come out, then make sure it comes out. Obviously, there's a thing where if life really gets in the way, or like, for example, I did say we went straight ever since the beginning of Podcavern, but we did take 2 weeks off for when like all the Black Lives Matter events happened this summer. And we're like, you know what? Doesn't seem like a great idea to put out, I don't know, a top 5 emoji episode or something. Like, it's like, let's just take a break and reflect a little bit. So yeah. So I really do think a regular release schedule is how you should do it. Just be realistic to yourself. Advice to any podcaster out there, like the gut reaction is like, oh, I can do a podcast in a week and release it and stuff. That's a lot of work.
It's crazy, right? Like,
yeah,
right,
and even like even doing one every 2 weeks is a lot of work too, because you have your life to lead and stuff like that. So that's just how I feel about it.
Oh my God, you could hear Jelly screaming in agreement right now. Life gets in the way of podcasting.
Life gets in the way of podcast. Just be realistic on how you release those bad boys. Another tip I learned from Pod School, which they never called it Pod School, but we're going to call it that.
Pod College.
Pod University. That's the one. If you make it to your 7th episode, 7 is the magic number apparently for longevity of your podcast.
Well,
what was our 7?
So there you go.
What does that mean though? Like, so once you do 7, you're gonna be okay. It's once like a 7-year stretch. It's the same for a marriage.
That's true. Yeah. They say like once you release
7 podcasts and that's it. Your marriage is done.
Oh,
no. Once you release 7, it's kind of like you have the, I don't know, discipline, I guess, that you're in like the podcast groove to, record a thing, edit a thing, post a thing. Like you can do it. You don't have to, because like a lot of people will give up around the 3 to 4 episode mark.
Okay. They're like, I don't want to do
I have
anymore.
Yeah, they're like, I don't have time, or
right.
And the worst thing is, not the worst, but the thing that I always see is like, hey, we're taking a break this week, but we'll be back next week. And then that becomes like a thing that happens like every second week, and then it just fizzles and you forget about it. Yeah.
I guess that's why, I think ours is built in for life getting in the way. It's like struggles will happen.
It's baked into the matrix.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on that note, would you what kind of creative struggles do you have to deal with in either in your improv or in your podcasting or you know,
yes, the constant
creative
struggle.
life. You know, that's how that's how the show works.
Yeah.
It's all fun and giggles till we get to the tough part.
Oh, no more
Alright.
giggling shit.
Sorry, cool bro. Damn it,
BroCoolNation.
Say it right and say it with respect, damn it.
BroCoolNation.
Thank you. The pray hands
Bro,
unnecessary. Yeah, I will say there is definitely the constant struggle is definitely how I feel with podcasting. It's a lot of work. I mean, like, there's just so much work involved in running a network, like a small network too, that's basically all me. And I put a lot of myself into this, but it's also like I have to balance life too. And there's always a pressure to edit a new thing, but I love it so much. And I love talking to people, and, you know, like we wouldn't have this conversation maybe if I didn't have a podcast and like we didn't reach out to each other, right? Like I get to do like experience new things, which is the best part about podcasting. But the work involved, like editing a very tough edit, especially during COVID, which is like nobody has the same equipment, nobody has the same internet connection. It could be a freaking disaster editing a thing. And
it sounds like you've been through some things with this.
Oh yeah.
Song. Like,
oh yeah.
Based on like when we were on your pod, it sounded like you were still dealing with like you still saw the fog of pod war. Like it's still very scary out there.
It is.
And we're like, what do you mean? You just sit down and you press record and Brie does everything else.
Yeah, it's especially tough with ranks, especially because it's 4 people, and you gotta just hope that one of the recordings is good enough. And sometimes we'll like, I haven't actually edited our episode yet, but it's one of those things where, like, I don't know how it's going to turn out. You might have moments where they're going to be like, and you're like, I guess I'll have that in, or maybe I'll take it out. I don't know. Was it funny? Probably, but is it audible? No. Yeah. So the editing process is definitely, can be hours and hours of work. And I guess the struggle is that it's very, like, nobody really, here, let me put it this way. I think when audio sounds good, whether that's in podcasting or like an improv show, nobody notices, and it's thankless work. But the second it goes wrong, people will call you.
This is garbage.
Who the fuck is the tech?
Exactly. What's up with this music? That kind of stuff. So I guess in a good way, nobody's ever complained about the audio really with ranks and Podcavern.
We used to get a lot of complaints. And by a lot, I mean one.
One person? Nick?
Oh, yeah,
that was me. Our show sounds like shit.
I can't hear us. Speak up.
Just me yelling at my past self or getting closer to the mic.
Come on.
You know better than this. Do you
get a drink next time? Be ready.
Yeah, that one is. I thought that one would be obvious now.
Yeah.
After about 5 years. What?
Fine.
About 5 years.
Do you have other job? That's a weird
other
question.
Job?
Yeah.
I work full time.
Pay job?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. So you're not only is it taking you hours to edit this, it's hours outside of an already full-time job.
Yeah, so I work full time. I also work part time at the Making Box. So 2 jobs. And then podcasting is like, and I actually had like another freelance thing I was doing on top of that until COVID hit, which is I film. I'm a videographer too. I used to do a lot of videos for corporate and fun stuff. It all came from me, actually came from the BroCoolNation days as well, where I wanted to film like sketch videos and stuff like that. But then I had to learn how to, edit, and I had to learn like the basics of filming. And then I caught the bug and I started buying all of this stuff to do it. And then I got really good at it. And then I was like, I gotta know how to make money off of this thing. So I ended up being a wedding videographer, which is a lot of money when there's weddings, which there's been 0. Even I was supposed to get married this year, but that didn't happen.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's okay.
So what are you guys doing? Are you rescheduled, like putting it?
rescheduling tentatively for next year. But
Okay.
Laura and I are really good in the way that we both are on the same page of like, we don't really care about the title of getting married. We just really care about the party of having all of our friends and family together. So
It's good times.
yeah, that's all I want. Like, so if I don't know, if it's in like a year or two from now, that would suck for other plans potentially down the road, but whatever. Like, I don't need to go to City Hall today to get, that, arbitrary husband and wife paper thing.
I mean, like, how long have you lived together though?
Like 3 years, 4.
Then you're
5
already
years.
common law.
Yeah, we get
About 5 years.
about 5 years.
You're already common law. You already have that
The
title.
Tax benefits. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there? I don't know. Laura handles all that
Something.
stuff.
We get it. Laura does the money.
Yeah, she really does. I'm like doing the other work, which is podcasting, right?
And buying stuff for podcasting.
Yeah. Hey, hey, the struggle is real. The struggle is real with podcasting. I would say the other thing that I struggle with always, it's probably the biggest struggle I have, and it's the one that I always just have to, overcome, which is kind of being, gross about promotion. And I don't love it. I have never liked promoting myself, but it's one of those things that I've learned through pod school and through just like being pretty active on social media is if you don't post anything, then nobody's going to discover your shit. And whether it doesn't feel great because you're like, oh man, all I ever do is just post about my work, that like my creative stuff that I do. And whenever I do it, it always feels like a big kick in the teeth because you get like 0 to 3 likes. And one of the likes is yourself. And
The other one is the page that you run.
yeah, exactly. I actually do that where I have another page that is from my old comedy group that I'm like, this page only dedicated to liking Podcavern posts.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's, I would say that's a big struggle of mine, but I do it because, and I'm pretty consistent with it. It's just like, if you don't promote your stuff, then nobody else will. And nobody will discover it. And even if they don't immediately like it on like Facebook, for example, like I know people are listening because I can see those numbers rise every single year. So it's like, whatever, I'll just fucking do it and get over this weird social media pressure that now lives in our world where we care about likes and whatever, comments and favorites.
I think that was something I learned pretty early on in doing comedy. It was just like, when you want people to come to your show, you're gonna have to post about it. You know what I mean? Like it or not. So yeah. So, and Facebook is free.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's compared to like paying PR firms.
There still is the free Facebook avenue. Yeah,
exactly. It's such a free way of getting information out without having to, being able to access your network. Even though, I guess any qualm I would have with that is immediately met with, so are all the other comedians that I know who are serious about doing comedy. They have to, even the people who are doing like the best are still like, hey, I got this awesome show coming up. You know what I mean? It doesn't, especially in Canada,
Totally.
It's like a logistics thing as well. Like, how are people meant to know unless you tell them? Like,
it's exactly that. There's just too much other things.
But remember to subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah. There's too much other things to keep track of in the world. So to kind of just keep, throwing out these posts, it's just something that I have to live with. And I think I'm pretty like well adjusted to it now. It's just not my favorite part about podcasting.
Right.
Yeah.
It never has been. I wish somebody else could handle it. But again, it's just me doing this thing. So whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder what it looks like for somebody who actually does enjoy doing that.
Who does
self-promoting.
For narcissists, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Ooh, my
Never
favorite
mind.
part
I know
of the
exactly
day.
what that looks like.
I guess if the day came along where like a even bigger podcast, I don't know, do we have those here? Are there like bigger, like I'm trying to think of like in the States,
like networks and stuff?
Yeah, like what's the big one?
I think the biggest one.
Comedy. No.
No.
What's Bill Burr's one?
Oh, I was gonna say the biggest network in Canada, oh, that's not true. I don't actually know. But in Ontario would be Sonar Network,
They're doing
which
pretty
is
good for themselves. Yeah.
based in Toronto. Those guys are very great. And I was talking to Michael Mangiardi, who spearheads the entire thing, and he has like really interesting thoughts about podcasting, and it's basically his like he makes money off of it, which is incredible. But
Yeah.
one of those things where they worked very hard to kind of grow this thing into like a money making kind of thing where, you know, I'm not saying they're making a ton of money, but they have employees at this network,
Right.
stuff like that, which is very impressive. And so we had a conversation about this maybe 2 months ago or something, because we wanted to just talk about networks and podcast networks. And we both had very different goals, I think, because at the end of the day, mine isn't something that like I'm not really thinking about that stuff entirely of like, how do I make money off podcasting, except classes. That's a great way, I think, to make money off podcasting.
Teaching
But
classes is a great way to make money.
exactly.
Period.
Improv, whatever, all that stuff. But I never was, because in the BroCoolNation days, I want to make money of being famous, but Podcavern is not like that. It's only meant to be a creative outlet
Right.
for myself and like-minded people to put out fun stuff into the world. And if we get more followers and likes, amazing. If we get people clicking on that Amazon affiliate link, great. I don't need it to be this big thing. So I'm not like on Reddit every night posting my podcast. I'm not like trying to do all these things to like, you know, grow my podcast by looking at numbers, because I think that's another toxic thing that I learned back in the past was looking at your numbers, which is terrible. Like
I look at them once a month. That's how I do it.
Yeah,
That's what I found was healthy for me. But
yeah.
Nick, you looked surprised when you saw posting your podcast on Reddit. Did you know that we do that?
No, I did not know that. I like never go on Reddit.
Neither do I, only to post our podcast.
Yeah, I did that too. I got called out by some random person.
I don't give a shit.
You're not on Reddit.
I don't give a shit.
They're like, why do I want to listen to your thing? All you do is post about your podcast. I'm like, oh, so you've listened?
Oh my God, you know about my podcast.
Know enough that he got annoyed about it. So great.
What's our subreddit look like, Brie? We don't
have our own subreddit.
People?
We're just on the like podcasting subreddit once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I'll
not
have
once
to
a
wade
week,
into
sorry.
that, I suppose.
Whenever we post it. That's
whenever you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but there's so many people who just post and then it's like nobody responds.
Are we
to it. But
TikToking?
it's there. We're not. I haven't TikToked yet because I heard it was like they steal your information. But I
and
mean,
you got to learn how to dance or something.
I already have some pretty sweet moves.
Brie
Brie just started flossing out of nowhere, right? That's amazing. Now she's doing the Dougie.
I don't know what.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that dance in a while.
I hope somebody teaches me how to Dougie.
I will for $1,500.
It's a deal.
I'll give you a I was about to give you a discount.
Oh, I don't even need the discount. I'm sorry.
All right.
Earwolf is the one I was thinking of.
Earwolf.
Yeah,
Earwolf. Is that Canadian?
No, American. I was just saying, like, because that's the whole network that's just crazy podcasts, right? Or just like mega podcasts. How do you make? I don't know. How do you make? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, Mike Mangiardi.
Step one: be American.
Be American.
Yeah.
I guess is it similar to the comedy situation here? You know,
well, it's one of those things where you're really aggressive about getting people to, you're like, you want to make a podcast for my network, and then you really build that network up, because like Michael does it differently, where there's so many podcasts on the Sonar network, so many, and it's all like Toronto comedians and improvisers and like really big names in, at least in that city, which is a huge fucking city.
It is a big city,
and it's a great way to like, you know, everyone moves to Toronto, and at least in Canada, to try to make it big in some way, right? So it's a great way. Yeah. So they use that.
Everyone zooms into Toronto.
Now I can zoom Toronto. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a great way to get really talented people to make their own shows for your network,
Right.
and then start plugging away at monetizing it. And I think it's
Right.
super smart the way Sonar Network is doing it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I have another job.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you want to devote your time. I like that though, that the podcasting for you is that's your outlet. That's your creative. That's your, like, some people write plays, some people write novels, some people, like for you, it's this is my podcast baby,
Yeah.
my 5 podcast baby.
For sure. I wanted to grow. I of course wanted to grow. I wanted to grow like bigger. I just don't need it to explode because I don't have the bandwidth to deal with that. And like it truly, like it's just I don't have any like super fantasies of like, oh, maybe I can quit my job one day to just do full-time podcasting. Cause I was like, well, if I play that scenario out in my head, I'm like, well, will that take the fun out of podcasting for me? And will I lose that passion because of now it's become like this thing I can't escape? It used to be the thing I escape to.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know how to answer that question.
Cross that bridge when you get there. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I just don't think I'd be making as much money as I do now. And I kind of need that money to pay
Right.
bills.
To
So,
live. Yeah. You said you
Yeah.
just bought a house, or you didn't. I mean, you bought a new house. You said new house.
new
New
house.
house.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Well, no, this is my first house, I will say. So yeah, yay.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I'm a fucking adult now. So
Yeah.
I've
Fucking
matured.
bro cool for real. it's
Is it growing on you?
it's man cool nation.
Oh, man, cool. Oh man,
That doesn't have the same ring to
I don't think so.
It's all like DUI? No, DIY thing.
What?
You got a deal.
DUI
Drive,
then.
yeah.
So the cop said I had too much to drink.
What's your favorite improv stuff? What do you like? Long form, short form? What do you do?
The favorite sketch you've ever seen.
Oh,
Describe it in detail.
Yeah.
definitely my Aladdin sketch. No. My favorite improv is long form improv. My favorite improv to do is with my duo partner, Angus McDonald, who does Heroes Don't Do Paperwork in Podcavern. We do Tuong and Agnes, our duo team, and we just we do a style like TJ and Dave kind of thing where we just grounded and ghosting and listening and
I'm
just
sorry, you just pronounced your name Tuong.
oh yes, Tuong and Agnes is our improv team name because those are the common ways people say our names wrong.
Okay, got it.
People call me Tuong all the time. So like, we
Right.
got to make a fucking improv team.
Yeah,
Off this
and what do they
stupid-
call?
They
Wait,
call
his name.
Angus Agnes, and I'm like, how do
Oh.
you fuck that up? So-
Dyslexia.
well, now I feel bad.
No, Agnes.
It's
is
okay. I called you Tron. I called you a hit Hollywood movie from the 1980s.
Honestly,
Yeah,
that is
there was
the
a
best.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's because you rode into the pod in your laser motorcycle. That's why.
It threw us both off. If we're gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
And my, I don't know, LED
Frisbee?
frisbee.
Yeah. It's like, has
Oh, the
anybody seen the
80s.
movie Tron? No. Classic Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, no.
Yeah. That's my favorite long form stuff to do, but I like to, I don't know, a good old montage is always fun too. I don't want to be like the I don't know, snobby improviser who's like, I just love heralds. All I do is do heralds all the time.
Oh, so you mean like Brie?
She said it. She said the thing
I
was
do like a
taken.
herald.
Yeah.
I do like a
I'm so
herald.
fucking done with montages, if we can be honest.
Yeah,
'Cause that's probably the show you drove out to Toronto for and did a
It
10-minute
honestly
montage
was,
with
and I
1,800
hated it.
people. Yeah.
I say I like montages, but I only like it because it's low pressure and I don't have to
Yeah.
think about it. But
Exactly.
I was very tired about it before the pandemic. After I was like, let's
Yeah.
just do something else, please.
Yeah, can we do something that requires some thought? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool improv formats out there, and I don't particularly hate any of them except for the bat.
You hate the bat.
I fucking hate the bat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Strong feelings about
I
the
have
bat.
strong feelings about the
Are
bat.
you afraid of the dark? Is that why?
I was gonna make an "Are you afraid of the dark" joke, but
Yeah,
I don't know if it'd be
remember
lost
enough.
on your audience.
I don't know. It depends. I remember watching it. That
Yeah.
dude's a weatherman now. Do you know that?
What? Oh my god!
Like the guy who the main guy who would tell the stories. I guess they all told stories. Anyway, one of the main guys is a weatherman now.
Wow, that's crazy. Nick, how do you feel about how Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It's like the Canadian version of Goosebumps, right?
Wasn't Goosebumps Canadian?
Was it?
Oh, I didn't think it was Canadian.
Well,
thought it was
I would put them on the same level, yeah. But were Goosebumps
Similar,
just stories told by children? Because that's what Are You Afraid of the Dark was, and they threw sand on the fire.
Yeah. Nick might have
Oh
been
no,
too
it was just like
old
random.
for- You
Yeah.
might have been
No,
a couple years too old for. Are You
yeah, it
Afraid
was
of the
more of
Dark?
a you thing. You and Pammy would
Yeah,
watch it.
Yeah.
Oh.
liked it.
It was beyond you. I'm sorry, Nick.
That's I'm old.
I'm old and I don't know how to work Zoom. Figure it out, old man.
Shut up, you. Get off my lawn.
Oh, I watched a Star Trek episode yesterday. That was very
And Picard just yelled at kids to get off his Enterprise
No,
lawn.
it was crazy. It was this old guy in the planet. He had destroyed this planet, and his wife died too. And he
Oh yeah,
the wife, but he still lived there. And anyway, kept whatever.
he was a very old dude.
He was super old and well spoken. I don't know what that has anything. He sounded like a Shakespearean kind of theater stage actor. But it was but you're on Star Trek. I guess they do that a lot. Anyway. That was my Star Trek tangent. We don't usually have this many Star Trek tangents. I think it's because
I'm here.
I was going to say it's because of the conversation on your podcast.
Yeah, I bring up the
I've
Star
watched
Trek
more
episode.
Star Trek since that podcast than I had previously, so it's been great.
It's it really reignited the desire to trek out
To the stars.
Trek out.
Getting Trek tonight. No, yeah, I need to do that. I need to watch some Star Trek because of you guys. You keep talking about how great it is.
Yeah.
I forget your other question, but
it's just improv. But that's cool.
The bat. What is the bat?
Oh yes. Okay, I'll finish my small rant on the bat, and so the bat. If for those of you who don't know, it's essentially improv in the dark, where the improvisers on stage, all the lights, house lights are turned off, so you can't see anything. It's supposed to be like, oh, I can't see anything, and all you hear are voices, much like a podcast.
Okay.
And now you're
like
the
bat because it's a live podcast.
You love fucking podcasts. You should fucking love this format. And I'm saying. No, if I want to listen to a podcast, I would do that anywhere, not in a live theater where I want to see performance, where I want to see people moving and sailing around and all this stuff. Now I'm just paying to see fucking nothing.
Have you performed the bat?
Yes, I have. And it's like, I mean, it's exactly like doing a remote podcast improv. It's exactly that, which I find is very fun, but I would not turn the lights off on my audience to say, hey, you can't see us and just hear our voices. It's like, well, why did you pay to come here? You came to see something visual is what I'm thinking.
My God, if I recreated that scenario, I'd be sitting with a laptop doing my work in front of me.
Continue.
Guys, I got to pause. I got a team meeting.
What? Do we keep going? I don't know.
Shut up. No, not you, Heather.
Yeah.
I find the bat is just hard when you're playing with someone or people who aren't great at
that type of improv.
Giving and taking focus, because then you're like, I'm sitting in here in the dark and I can't fucking say anything.
Yeah, you can't make eye contact or anything like that. It's a whole thing.
It's also one of the least favorite roller coasters at Canada.
What? People love the bat.
I've been feeling a little nauseous on it lately.
Well, yeah, but
lately.
Old. Yeah.
the last 2 times I went on it.
That's because you're getting old.
Ooh.
It's going backwards now.
In my day.
Back in my day, we lined up 3 hours for the bat and it lasted 30 seconds.
That's true. It's still the case.
That's what she said.
What is the bat in this scenario? You know what? I don't want to know. Why are people lining up? All right.
No, not good either.
Okay. Nick, more questions.
I've got one for everybody here. Do you guys actually listen to other podcasts?
Ooh, good question.
I know I do, but
Some.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
some. Let me see if I have a.
I listened to more when I was driving more.
oh yeah.
Yes, or like commuting
Yeah.
to, like walking to work or whatever, like whatever it is. Now the only time I'll listen to a podcast is when I'm like cooking, that kind of thing, washing
Yeah.
dishes.
I'll do it when I'm folding laundry.
Yeah, that's a good podcast thing.
So not a lot of hours though.
No.
No,
But
like
you
I'm.
do. You put in the work, Nick.
It's diverting me from work. It's honestly helping me live. It's great. But yeah, sometimes I put it on while I'm doing the dishes and like, oh, this is fun too.
It's still here. What's everybody's favorite podcast that isn't your own?
Let me see.
That's
Let me
not
just
part
list
of
all of
BroCool. Yeah, that's not part of
Nation.
BroCoolNation. Yeah.
Let's see. I only listen to the one podcast that I listen to on the regular is one of the first podcasts I have ever discovered, and it's a video game podcast. It's called the Giant Bombcast. It's basically dudes talking about video games. They have a website, and I don't know. I follow these guys for years. I love video games. It's the other thing I do in my spare time, not for money, but and
What's your favorite video game? I'm not good at video games, so
what's my favorite video game? That's so hard to. That's an impossible question.
No
Impossible.
way. Some people, like, if you were hardcore into like RPGs, wouldn't you just be like, I love Final Fantasy. It doesn't matter which one.
I love that stuff so hard. I love Super Mario. I love Super overalls. Yeah, I'm a big Nintendo guy, but I don't know. I definitely like a ton of video games, so it's hard for me to be like, this is my favorite one of all time. I don't know if I have one of those per se, but I can tell you if you like say a video game, I'll be like, oh, I fucking love that one. I love it so much. Right now it's Animal Crossing. I'm just
Animal Crossing.
Obsessed with Animal Crossing, New Horizons. I've been playing it basically every day since it's come out in March, so it keeps me happy. But anyways, yeah, video game podcasts, they're fun. They're fun. It's also a very long podcast because it's been around for over 10 years.
Whoa.
And they have, let me see, 651 episodes.
Oh, nice.
They're also one of the people that I've looked at, and they've never missed a week either. And I'm like, I fucking love that about this show is they no matter what happens, they always put out a thing. And the podcast is like 3 hours long, so they're like Joe Rogan level long. So I don't have time to listen to other stuff.
Yeah, I love Pete Holmes's podcast, but they're long.
Yes.
And
yes.
So sometimes I'm like, which is You Made It Weird, by the way. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, I'm really interested in this, but it's been it's been so long.
It's so long.
And then by the time you're done listening to the episode, he's released like 3 more super long episodes.
You're super behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially I only listen to that one thing, but I used to listen to like You Made It Weird or what else? Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
I love Conan's podcast.
There's a ton, but now it's become one thing.
Yeah. Sweet.
Sweet.
How we doing? We feeling good?
Yeah.
You talked about
feeling pretty bro cool.
Yeah. So bro cool. Yeah.
Are we honorary BroCoolians?
Yeah. You called yourself by the right name. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, for sure. And whenever
Sweet.
nights, is that what you guys said? No, did I make that up?
Strugglers or strugglers, but I don't know. I don't think we're cool enough.
That one doesn't feel right.
Consties?
We are consties.
That was more appropriate.
I don't know about that. I am not a constie. I'm way more.
Think about it. Don't dismiss it quite yet. Just sit on it.
Sleep on it.
Maybe it'll grow on me. Well, Tuong, it's been so nice chatting with you.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. I feel like I talked your ears off on
this. That's
thing.
the point.
Yep. Thanks.
We're
That's all
glad
the
you
work
did, yeah.
we needed done.
Because if you didn't, we'd be like,
We got to make up stuff about
God,
Star
yeah.
Trek.
oh, yeah, which is referred to Star Trek. Lord knows people don't. I'm sure nobody needs another Star Trek podcast. I'm sure there's enough as there is.
I don't know. A sibling Star Trek podcast that talks about mom's lasagna from time to time. That sounds interesting to
We
me.
probably get more listens than siblings talking about artistic struggles.
Strugglies, yes.
Strugglies. I like strugglies.
Strugglies. Hey, Strugglies.
Sounds like a comfortable pajama that's kind of difficult to put on.
You mean
Yeah.
snuggies.
Snuggies.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Strugglies.
Strugglies. I like strugglies.
Yeah, me too.
Sweet. Well, thanks for being a struggly with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun. And I hope to have you guys back in the Podcavern someday.
Yay!
Top 5 Star Trek episodes.
Oh, no.
Thanks for coming, Doug. And struggle on!
Bye, Consties.
Nick, you didn't say struggle on, Nick.
Struggle
You
on,
did say struggle on.
Consties.
You say struggle on, yeah. Struggle on, BroCoolNation.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording here.
But you're not gonna say struggle on?
Okay, I'll do it. Do I need to say it?
Yeah!
I didn't know that. Okay,
Oh,
okay,
I'm
okay.
sorry, we didn't let you know.
We never let anyone know. Struggle on.
We surprised them. Struggle on. Struggle on.
Hey, struggle on, Consties.
I love it.
You can edit it together to make it make sense.
That's perfect.
I'm gonna start the episode like that.
Okay.
Going back in time. Do, 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 do. Anyway, thanks for listening to The Constant Struggle. I've been
That was a fun episode. Nick's lost his mind. It was good though. It was a funny episode. Thank you so much to Tuong Law for coming and being a guest on the show. And make sure to follow his Podcavern and subscribe and listen to all the 1,800 podcasts that he does on his own over there.
Yeah, and give a listen to the Home and Away podcast where we appeared on his show.
Oh yeah, the ranked top 5 things that don't matter.
Support crowdpostulation.
Cross-modulation. Crowd-postulation.
Ew.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. But
Don't do that.
That was a fun episode. I re-listened to that on a trip to London because we went up to London and filmed one last
You had 17 hours.
And we had 17 hours. It was, what did I say? It was 2. It was 2 hours long. And it was like,
Tight
it was
two.
like,
It was a tight two.
It was perfect for the trip to London. If you like this episode, please, do the things that you do if you like
Like
it.
what? Like and subscribe kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
like
Throw
us,
some comments.
Subscribe. Oh my goodness, comments are so good. Share it even if you're like, this was fun and Tuong is awesome. More people should know about him. So yeah, like, subscribe, share. It really helps our podcast when you do those things.
Man, it gives us something to do during the COVID. We
True.
will talk to you if you want to.
That's a good point. If anybody out there wants or is interested in doing an interview with us, we are accepting what would you call that? Applications?
I don't know.
I don't know.
People who want to
Guest submissions.
guests. There you go.
There you go.
Struggle on.
Struggle on. They can't see us wave.
Yeah, that was pointless.